Okay, so we're going to look at the Charlie Harper Cardinals and do a project that imitates that. I'm just starting off with a cardboard tube and a white piece of paper. I am going to cut it because it's so easy to work with because it's so thin. It's often good for kids if they can't cut the regular cardboard. I don't need a large piece, so I'm going to cut it again. And that way if this one gets soggy, I have an extra. So you're going to take cardboard and dip it in some black paint. Let's see if this will work here. I might need to get a bowl. And the goal is just to make some texture paper. So I take the black paint right on the edge and I just pull it. And I'm going in both directions. As it starts to run out, I get more. Go back. Okay. The goal is to fill up the whole page. Okay, now once you have a piece of textured paper done, okay, and you're happy with the way it looks, all right, it's time to cut it into strips. Now you can cut it where it is straight, vertical lines like this, and it doesn't have to be measured or drawn on. It can bend a little bit, like Mrs. Brose's got a little thinner at the top, a little wavy here and there. Or if you want a little more advanced, you can add some branches while you're cutting. Okay, so that is 2. I'm going to go on this other side since I cut that one with the branches. There's another. And this one I think I will add some more branches to it. This time I'm going to go this way. And I like odd numbers, so I'm going to try to cut one more from this piece, just cutting off the parts that I cut into. Okay, so I have 5 trees that look like birch bark trees with our textured paper. Okay, now I'm going to throw my scraps over to the side here. Now I'm going to take my blue background paper and I'm going to go ahead and decorate it with some polka dots, some white polka dots. So I'm going to wake up my white paint. Get it going here. Now you can either use a really small paintbrush and paint little dots on your paper for snow, or if you don't, you can use the back tip of your paintbrush and stamp little polka dots like that. Either way is fine. And so you just want to fill up your page with white snowflakes. Now once you do that, you'll start gluing on your birch trees. And you'll just use a glue stick and glue it along the back. Just along the edges. And you can arrange those onto your background however you like. Now, the tree should start at the bottom of your page because we don't have trees that float, right? So make sure they are attached to the bottom. If your trees go all the way to the top of your page, that's fine. You don't have to have a space at the top. Okay, one with some branches now. I think I have room for one more. And that's going to overlap, and that looks cool. All right, now there's my background all finished with the snowflakes and birch trees. Now it's time for the cardinals. So for those, there's a couple of ways you can do this. I'm just going to use an old frosting lid that I have, and I'm going to try to go close to the edge so I can use all my space on my paper. So I'm just going to trace a couple circles. There's a 1, 2, I think I'm just going to do 3 cardinals, and 3. Now, if you're learning fractions or pie shapes, if I cut my circle in half, I have a half circle. So I'm going to do that with one of them. Another one, I'm going to cut it in half and then go the opposite direction because I only want one part to be cut out, just this one part there. This one I'm going to cut this whole half off. And then I think on this one, I'm going to cut this half circle off, this quarter circle off, I mean on this side. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So now I'm going to cut out my circles. Freeing them from the large piece of paper first. And then cutting out the circles from there. My right hand stays still with my scissors, just opening and closing, while my left hand turns the paper. My left hand does all the work. Okay, now I cut my circle in half, and I put those two aside. And now I'm going to do the next one. Glasses are getting out, so it's rather loud. Okay, then I'm going to cut out that shape there. Keep this. Cut out my other one. This. All right, now to make them into cute little birds, I'll start with this one. So if you can imagine that this is the face of the bird, this is the back, you can use this here for the tail. So maybe I want to cut it in half, take my pie piece, and I cut it right down the middle. So there is, I could do like this with this part, maybe make it 2. Or I could add this as a wing here and tail feathers coming down here. Could do something like that. All right, so I'm going to assemble these as I go. So here's my first. I'm going to put some glue on the back. And I'm just going to put it right on my background, wherever I want. And then I'm going to glue the tail feathers on. Mine's going to overlap the edge, that's okay. And then some wings, wing feathers here. Yeah, I'll do that up a little bit like that, like he's flapping. Now, I have a little bit of scrap yellow here. I'm going to make a beak with. I'm just going to cut a triangle shape from my yellow and glue that on. And now I got to give him his traditional black mask. So I'm going to go from his beak up and down with a black Sharpie. I'm just going to give him his traditional black mask that Cardinals have. And if you want, you can go back to your white paint and give him a little eyeball. Okay, now I'm going to repeat this process with my other Cardinals. So I'm going to go with the one that I cut directly in half and show you how you can do that. So for this one, I'm going to glue him maybe down here. So I'll start with half of my circle with a flat edge up, like this. And then with the other half, I'm going to cut into 3 sections. So I'm just going to cut it into 3 equal triangles. So 1, 2, 3. And from here I can make his head. So maybe his head is, maybe he's looking down, maybe he's looking up. Okay, so this is the first part. So I'm going to glue the triangle because Cardinals have a really pointy head. So I'm going to make it like there. And then I'm going to add his wing feathers. And with that one, I
apologize, my video cut out, but you will see one of the Cardinals made out of a teardrop in the last screen image. For that, you'll just have to try your best. I apologize for the video mistake.